We continue now at the top of Daf Kuf Vav Amud Aleph in Mesechet Sanhedrin. This is Sanhedrin Daf 106a. On the previous Amud, the Gemara said that the curse of Achi Hashiloni is actually better than the blessing of Bilam Harasha, and the Gemara explains because Achi Hashiloni, he cursed Klal Yisrael, and he used the idea of a reed, the example of a reed, and a reed has certain good qualities. For example, its stem machlif, its stem replenishes itself. V'sharash of merubin, it has a lot of roots. V'afilu kol ruchos sheva'olam bos v'noshvos vo, even if all the winds in the world came and blow it, ein mezizos osomim mekomo, they don't blow it, they don't move it from its place. Elahu holechu vo'ima, and rather it just blows together with them. And kevan shedomamu haruchos, and when the winds, when they calm down, amad kana b'mekomo, the reed stays in its place, it stands in its place. Avol bilam harasha, but when it comes to bilam harasha, bilam the wicked, birchan be'erez, when he blessed them, but he compared them to an erez, to a cedar, ma erez eino omid b'makom mayim, just like an erez, a cedar does not stand in a place of water. V'sharash of muatin, it has few roots. Ve'ein gizo machlef, and its stem does not replenish itself. Afilo kol haruchos sheba'olam boz v'noshvos bo, and even if all the winds in the world would come and blow it, ein mezizos osomi mekomo, it wouldn't move it from its place. But kevan shenoshva bo ruach deromis, but once the southern wind blows it, miado karto v'ofachto alpanav, immediately it's uprooted, it's turned on its face. V'lood, and not only that, the reed, it merited that the kulmus, which is used to write the Sefer Torah, that's taken from it, lichtov mimenu Sefer Torah, neviim uchsuvim, in order, that's the quill that's used to write the Sefer Torah, neviim and ksuvim. And the Gemara continues, the pasuk says, by Bilam, vayares hakeni, he saw the keni, vayisa mishalo, and he said his mashal, and the Gemara explains the pasuk, amar lo Bilam li Yisro, Bilam said to Yisro as follows, keni, he referred to Yisro as keni, as we said earlier, lo hayisa imanu ba'osa etza, weren't you together with us by that advice? This is talking about by Paro, you were together with us when Paro wanted to know what to do to Klal Yisrael. Miho shivcha etza le'sanei olam, who's the one that now has you sitting by the strong ones of the world? What did you do to merit this? And the Gemara continues and explains, V'hainu dam Reb Chia bar Abba am Reb Simoy, that's what Reb Chia bar Abba said, that Reb Simoy said, Shlosha hayu be'osa etza, there were three that were involved in terms of that counsel, in terms of that advice. This is talking about the advice of throwing the babies of Klal Yisrael into the river that was given to Paro. And who were the three individuals? Eluhain, they were as follows, Bilam, Eov, Yisro. It was Bilam, Eov, and Yisro. And Bilam Shayoatz, Bilam who gave that advice, Narak, so he's killed, that's his punishment. Eov Shashasak, Eov who was silent, Nidon B'Yisur, and he's judged with afflictions. The Yisro Shabarach, and Yisro who fled, he didn't want to be involved. Zachu b'nei Banav, so his children, his descendants, they merited Leishev B'Lishkas Hagazis, to sit in the Lishkas Hagazis, the chamber of hewn stone, which refers to the fact that they sat in the Sanhedrin, and this was quoted earlier, Shenemar, as it says in the Pasuk, Mishpecho so from Yoshve Yavitz, Tirasim, Shemasim, Suchasim, Hema Hakinim, that's the Kinim, Haboim Mechamas, Aviv Beis Rechov, Uchsiv, and it's also written, Uvnei Keni, Chosein Moshe, Alu Meir Hatzmarim, and the idea is that they were the Yoshve Yavitz, these descendants of Yisro, they were the ones that they sat in the Sanhedrin. And the Gemara continues, Vayisa Mishalo Vayomar, again by Bilam it says, he said his mashal, Oy miyichya misum okel, what does that pasuk mean? Amar Reb Yochanan says, Oy la le'uma, woe is to the nation, Shatimatze b'shasha HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ose Pidyon Levanav, that is found at the time when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is making the redemption for his children. Mimatel chesuso bein Lavi leLevia, who's going to put his garment between the Lavi and the Levia, the lion and the lioness, Beshosh and Izkak and Zemzeh, when they want to be together with one another? And Rashi explains, Shemachaya Atzmo b'Shem Kel, he makes himself live with the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and this was the part of the Gemara which was in the parentheses. It was Amar of Shemen Lakish, Oy mi Shemachaya Atzmo b'Shem Kel, that was the explanation of the pasuk of Vayisa Mishalo Vayomar, and Rashi explains, Osa Atzmo Eloa, Kemo Paro v'Chiram, somebody who makes himself a god like Paro and Chiram, woe is to them. Lashon Acher, Rashi gives another explanation, Misha Mechaya Atzmo Kolomar Oy Lohem Laosam B'nei Adam Shemechayinu Ma'adnin Atzman Bolam Hazeh Uporkan Ol Torah, woe is to those who release themselves from the yoke of the Torah, they just try to enjoy this world, Me'al Tzavarom Meshamnin Es Atzman, they take the yoke of Torah off their necks and they make themselves fat. Misumo Kel Keshemesim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Pidyon Li'atzmo, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is redeeming himself, it means to say, U'Mashalim Gmul L'Tzadikim Lasid Lavo, he's giving the reward to the Tzadikim, Kach Shamati, that's what I heard. And so Rabbi Yochanan's explanation was, Oila L'Uma Shati Motzei, Oila L'Uma Shatia Ba'osan Hayamim, Sheyala al daita la'akev Yisrael, if somebody's going to try to hold that back, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is trying to pay that reward, mi matil ksus ben lavi, who's going to put themselves between the lion and the lioness, la'akvon shelo yizdaku zelazeh, who's going to try to stop the lion to be together with the lioness, the mesukanu, that would be dangerous. Kilomar miu sheyachol la'akev es Yisrael v'HaKadosh Baruch Hu machnisam, who's going to be able to hold back Klal Yisrael when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is trying to bring them in? And the Gemara continues, the pasuk says by Bilam Vitzim Miyad Kitim, it says the ships at the coast of Kitim. Amar Rav says Libon Aspir, it's a place called Libon Aspir. We'll see Rashi in a moment. V'inu Ashur, V'inu Aver, then the pasuk says they afflicted Ashur and they afflicted Aver. And the Gemara explains that Ad Ashur Katli Miktal, until Ashur they killed, Mikan Va'elach, from there forward, Mishavdi Shibude, they would enslave. And Rashi explains that Tziyim is Sfinos Gedolos, Vitzim Miyad Kitim, Tziyim are large ships. Betzim miyad kitim amarav liba aspir, means to say, the Kitim hainu makam sheshmo kach. Kitim is a place that's called Liba Aspir. We'll see Rashi in a moment for further explanation. Ad Asher miktal ketile, from until Asher they killed. Umi Asher va'elach meshavdi lu shibud, and from Asher onward they enslaved. And Rashi continues, V'tzim miyad kitim v'inu Ashur. Rashi is explaining again. The Gemara seems to be an alternate explanation. The katli lahu, they killed them. V'inu Aver, and then they afflicted Aver. The meshavdi lohen ad Ashur. Again, they enslaved until Ashur. And Rashi continues, Kitim is Romiim. The Kitim actually is referring to the Romans. Kilomar, what it means to say is as follows: Osan umos shehevi HaKadosh Baruch Hu bitzim. Those nations which HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to bring with the ships, Asidin laharoges kol ha'umos ad Ashur. They're going to kill all the nations until Ashur. Umei Ashur va'elach, and then from Ashur onward, Manichan Osan, they're going to leave them. They're not going to kill them, and instead umeshavdin bohem. Instead, they're going to enslave them. And Rashi says Ula Asad Kamairi. All of these psukim are talking about what's going to happen in the future. And the Gemara continues, the pasuk by Bilam says, Hineni holech liami, behold, I am going to my nation. L'cha yatzcha, but let me give you advice, asher yaseha mazel liamcha, what this nation will do to your nation. And the Gemara asks, Amcha liam hazemi boile, shouldn't this pasuk be reversed? It's what your nation will do to this nation. And the Gemara answers, Amar Rabbi Abba bar Kahana, Rabbi Abba bar Kahana says, Ka'adam shemekal alatzmo, the way you understand this pasuk is it's like a person who's cursing himself, but v'tola kilalasa b'acherim, he doesn't want to curse himself, so he hangs his curse on others. And Rashi explains, Hineni holech liami l'cha yotzcha asher yaso mazel liamcha amcha liam azemi boile. And Rashi says, Shehesi eitzel Balak. What's happening in this pasuk is Bilam is giving advice to Balak, shenichshelu ba Yisrael, in a way to cause a stumbling block for Klal Yisrael. Hein hinei hayu livnei Yisrael b'dvar Bilam. That's what's happening in this pasuk. And so therefore what it really should say is I'm going to give advice of what your nation will do to Klal Yisrael. And the Gemara explains, V'tola kilalaso b'chaveira. What he's just doing is he's hanging the curse on his friend, meaning v'kach Bilam lo ratza litlos shiflos zeb Balak. What's happening in the pasuk is Bilam doesn't want to attribute this low status to Balak. Sheyehu tzarich levakesh eitza, that Balak needs to go ask advice. Hech yichshelu ba Yisrael. How can he create a stumbling block for Klal Yisrael? That's something that Bilam was trying to avoid in the way he was phrasing things. So therefore, Ella rather be Yisrael tala hashiflos. He said in Klal Yisrael, that's the one that's lowly. Lomar shehein tzrichin la'etza, to say as if they need the advice. Sheyichshelu ba b'nei Moav, in order to make b'nei Moav stumble. Shelo siskof yidei Moav al Yisrael, that Moav shouldn't conquer Klal Yisrael. V'hainu dichsiv asher yasam azel liamcha. That's why it's phrased in that way, that this nation will do to your nation. Rashi gives another explanation. Lishna achrin, another explanation. Tola kilalaso b'chaveiro. Kolomar, what it means to say is as follows: Shatola hakasav klola b'Moav, to put the curse part on Moav specifically. V'lo ratza lichtov klape Yisrael. The pasuk doesn't want to mention anything bad towards Klal Yisrael. Kemosha Amar Bilam Harasha, which is actually the way that Bilam said it. Bilam phrased it bad towards Klal Yisrael, but the pasuk reverses it. And the Gemara continues and explains, Amar lo, he said to him, and Bilam said to Balak, Elokeim shel elu sone zimahu, the God of the Jews, he hates zima, he hates lewdness. Vehe misavim lichlei pishtan, and they want linen garments. Bo v'asiyacha eitza, come and I'll give you advice. Aseh lahen kloim, make hangings, make curtains. V'hoshev bohen zonos, and put prostitutes over there. Zekena mibachutz, an older one from the outside. V'yalda mibifnim, and have a younger one inside. V'yimachru lahen klei pishtan, and they will sell to them linen garments. He made these hangings, these curtains from the snow mountain until Beis HaYeshimos. And again placed prostitutes over there. The older one on the outside, the younger one on the inside. And at the time the Klal Yisrael was eating and drinking with Smeichin, and they were happy. And going out to walk, to stroll in the marketplace. Omeres lo hazakena, the older one would say to him, do you want to have linen garments? Zakena omeres lo b'shavat, the zakena would say the proper price, v'yaldo omeres lo b'pachos, and then the younger one would give a smaller price, a lesser price, shtayim v'shalosh pamim, and this would repeat 2 or 3 times. V'achar kach omeres lo, and then afterwards she would say to him, hareyat keben bayis, you're like a member of our household, shev bror liatzmacha, come choose what you want for yourself. V'tzirtzure shal yayin amoni munach, there was some wine, some Ammon wine that was near her. V'adayin lo nesar yayin shal nachrim, at this time it still wasn't usher to have wine from non-Jews. Amr lo, and she said to him, ritzoncha shetishta kos shal yayin, do you want to drink a cup of wine? Kevan shashas, and once the person would drink beer bo, so then there would be a fire within him, a yetzer hara. And the Gemara continues, Amar lo, at that point he would say to her, hashmili, listen to me, meaning submit to me, let's have an act of relations. And hotzia yirasa mitocheka, and at that point she would take out her idol from her lap, Amr lo, and she said to him, avod lazeh, serve this. Amar lo, he said to her, halo Yehudi ani, but I'm Jewish. Amar lo, and then she would say to him, what difference does it make? Klum mivakshim imcha elapi, or all we really want is that you should defecate in front of the idol. Now he didn't know that by Baal Peor that was the proper way to serve that idol. And not only that, I'm not going to let you go until you deny the Torah of Moshe, your Rebbe. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, Hema bo Baal Peor v'nozru leboshes. It says they separated for this boshes, for this embarrassment, for these idols. V'yushikutzim bi'ahavam, and because again of their love, meaning their desire for these women, that's why they would serve the avodah zarah. And the Gemara continues, the pasuk says, Vayeshev Yisrael b'Shittim, it says that Klal Yisrael settled in Shittim. Rabbi Eliezer says Shittim Shema, Shittim was just the name of the place. Rabbi Yoshua says, Shenisasku b'divrei shtus, that they dealt with these ideas that were shtus, meaning to say again, these ideas of being together with the prostitutes, that's the reference in the pasuk by calling it Shittim. And the Gemara continues, Vatikrena liam lezivchei Elohein, it says Vatikrena, using this language of, as we're going to see, is happenstance. Rabbi Lazar says what the pasuk is referring to is arumos pagu behen, that the women, they would approach them, they would come upon them, and they were naked. Rabbi Yoshua says shenasu kulan balei kiryan, that they all experienced seminal emissions. That's the language of Vatikrena. And the Gemara continues, My Lashon Refidim. What is the language of Refidim in the pasuk? Rabbi Eliezer Omer Refidim Shema. Rabbi Eliezer says Refidim was the name of the place. Rabbi Yoshua says Sheripu Atzman midivrei Torah, means to say that they weaken themselves from divrei Torah. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, Lohifnu Avos Elbanim me Rifyon Yadayim. It says they had Rifyon Yadayim. Again, it means to indicate a weakening. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, Kol mokum shenemar vayeshev, anytime the pasuk says vayeshev, einu el lashon tsar, it always indicates a language of pain. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, vayeshev Yisrael b'shittim, it uses that language by shittim. And what does the pasuk go on to say? Vayachalam liznos el benos Moav, it says that the people turned towards the daughters of Moav. Vayeshev Yaakov be'eretz megurei aviv be'eretz Canaan, it uses the word vayeshev in that pasuk. And what does the pasuk go on to say? Vayave Yosef as dibasam roel avim, that Yosef, he said the bad things that they were doing, he brought that to their father, and that began the story of Yosef. V'namar, and it says also, Vayeshev Yisrael be'eretz Goshen, it says Yisrael was in Eretz Goshen, uses the word Vayeshev, and the pasuk goes on to say, Vayikravu Yemei Yisrael Lamus, that the days came close when Yisrael was going to die. And the pasuk also says, Vayeshev Yehuda v'Yisrael levetach ish tachas gafano betachas teinaso, and what does the pasuk go on to say over there? Vayokam Hashem Satan l'Shlomo, that Hashem made a Satan for Shlomo, as Hadad hu Edomi, Mizera HaMelech hu be'Edom. So again, it goes on to something bad. And the Gemara continues and darshans the psukim with regards to Bilam, v'yas Malchei Midyon hargu al Chalaleim. It says that they killed the Malchei Midyon, and then it says as Bilam ben Beor hargu becharev. It goes on to say that they killed Bilam ben Beor. And the Gemara says, Bilam, my boy Hassam, what was Bilam doing over there? And the Gemara explains, Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, Shahalach litol schar esrim v'arbo elef shehipel miYisrael. He went to take the reward of the 24,000 that he caused their downfall among Klal Yisrael. He wanted to get his payment. That's what he was doing over there. And the Gemara continues, Amar Mar Zutra Bar Tuvia Amar Rav. Mar Zutra Bar Tuvia says, the Rav says, Hainu da Amri Inchi. That's like the expression that people say, Gam lo ozlo lemivoi karne. A camel goes to get horns. Udne dahavale gezizon mine. But the ears that it has end up getting cut off from it. Meaning to say, it wants to get something, and in the end it loses something. So to Bilam, he wanted to get paid. He ended up getting killed. And the Gemara continues in Darshan's the pasuk in Sefer Yoshua with regards to Bilam. The pasuk says, Ves Bilam ben Beor hakos. It calls Bilam ben Beor the Kosem, the sorcerer. The Gemara says, Kosem, what do you mean sorcerer? Navi, he's a prophet. And the Gemara answers, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says, B'tchila Navi u'levasov Kosem. Originally he was a prophet, but then he was a sorcerer. Amar Rapapa says, Hainu da Amrinchi. That's like the expression that people say, Misgoni v'shilti havoi, Eizon legavri nagori, a woman that's descended from princes, from royalty. Then she goes together with a person who's just a carpenter. And we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Kuf Vav Amud Beis.